So picture 1950s Rhode Island. You've got this group of men who essentially traded secrets like currency. They're, testing psychological warfare in a suburban living room while their wives serve cider.
It's quite the image, honestly.
Right. And I mean, we usually think of keeping a secret as this isolating burden, something you have to actively hide from the world.
Yeah, like it creates a barrier between you and everyone else.
Exactly. But for this specific community we're looking at today, hidden knowledge wasn't a wall at all. It was actually the exact thing that got you in the door.
It really completely flips our whole understanding of secrecy. I mean, we are looking at a social landscape that's built entirely around deception. But paradoxically, that shared deception created some of the most, intimate, trusting relationships you could possibly imagine.
And that dynamic is exactly the focus of our deep dive today. We've got a really fascinating stack of sources here. It's a collection of excerpts from mid-20th century issues of the Linking Ring.
Which is such a great resource.
It really is. For those who might be unfamiliar, that's the official magazine of the International Brotherhood of Magicians, or the IBM. So our mission today is to extract this highly specific, almost microscopic snapshot of a bygone era.
Right.
We're doing that by zooming in on exactly one local chapter, that's Ring 44, based in Providence, Rhode Island.
And I love this approach because by focusing on just this one chapter, we really get to see the actual mechanics of a mid-century magic community. We aren't just looking at the polished global history of stage illusion, you know?
Big Vegas shows or whatever.
Exactly. We are looking at what these Rhode Island magicians were doing on a random Tuesday night, how they gathered, and the deeply obsessive characters that really made up the group.
So on paper, the official meeting place for Ring 44 was the United Commercial Travelers Hall.
Right.
Located at 77 Franklin Street in Providence. And, I mean, it sounds incredibly formal.
Oh, very formal.
Like the kind of place where men in heavy suits sit in rows and just read minutes from a giant ledger.
Yeah.
But reading through these dispatches, you realize the real heartbeat of this group wasn't there at all. It was in living rooms.
Specifically, the North Providence home of Mr. and Mrs. Bill Baker.
Yes, the famous Baker's Miniature Theater.
Right. The sources mention that meetings were frequently held in this dedicated space inside the Baker home. And that just suggests a level of commitment that, it goes way beyond a casual hobby.
I'll see.
They didn't just push the coffee table out of the way. They literally built a functional performance space for their peers.
And the affection for Bill and Louise Baker, it just leaps off the page. The dispatches detail this December 1st Christmas party that actually doubled as a testimonial night.
Oh, at Giuliano's Italian restaurant, right.
Yeah, exactly, in Providence. And they had 70 people in attendance for this. The Toastmaster, a guy named Adrian Smith, presented the Bakers with this beautiful silver bowl. And the official report literally notes that it was just a partial way to show appreciation to, quote, two of the grandest people in the world.
That is so sweet. And, drawing 70 attendees for a local chapter event in the 1950s, that speaks volumes about the institutional loyalty here.
Absolutely.
And that loyalty really extended across the board. Like at that same Christmas party, you had Bill Satchel and Bob Smithson receiving their 25-year IBM pins.
25 years. That's a huge chunk of life.
It is. The dispatch specifically notes they seldom missed a meeting or magical event in a quarter of a century.
It's a lifelong fellowship for these guys. And the vibe of these meetings was just wonderfully intimate. Like after a November meeting at the Baker's home, they had about 20 members there. The report mentions they topped off the evening with cider, donuts, and cheese, all served by the ladies.
Classic 1950s hosting.
Totally. And when you put all these details together, the best modern analogy I can think of is like an early super niche internet forum.
Oh, that's interesting. I think that captures the sociology of it perfectly, actually.
Right, because you have this dedicated space for obsessive nerds of a very specific craft. They have their own jargon. They heavily review the latest techniques, which for them was just a new trick out of a magazine.
Yeah, exactly.
But instead of arguing on a message board at 2 a.m. behind a screen name, they are doing it face-to-face in a Rhode Island living room.
And that physical closed-door environment was structurally vital to the art of magic. I mean, magic relies on absolute secrecy to the outside world, right?
Right.
But a magician desperately needs peer review to improve. If you only ever practice in front of a mirror, your brain kind of tricks you into seeing what you want to see. You really need a knowledgeable audience to tell you if you are flashing.
Wait, so flashing, that's the industry term for accidentally revealing the secret mechanism or the hidden object to the audience, right?
Exactly. Or, Maybe a move just looks unnatural, even if the secret is technically hidden. But you can't test a brand new half-finished illusion on the general public.
Because if you mess up, it's over.
Right. If you fail in front of a layperson, the secret is exposed forever and the trick is completely ruined. So a private space like the miniature theater provided this really crucial, safe laboratory.
So they could mess up without ruining the illusion for the rest of the world.
Precisely. It was a place where magicians could fail safely, get critiqued by experts who already knew the mechanics anyway, and just refine their craft without breaking the magician's code.
Wow. A safe room for professional liars. I love that. So stepping into that laboratory, what were they actually doing to try and fool each other? Because the tricks mentioned in these dispatches, they reveal a really fascinating evolution.
They definitely do.
The early entries feature classic, very prop-heavy stage magic. We see Chuck Harrison, who was the Ring's prior president, doing a routine with a snake in the basket to find a selected card.
Which is a very traditional piece of apparatus.
Yeah, and then you have the current president, Morris Kantrovitz, performing a vanishing wand, a glass suspension, and something called Himber's beer bottle effect.
Classic mid-century material.
And Charlie Frades was hauling out these large stage versions of Wonder Blocks and Massey's Rice Chest. And I just think, if you've ever had to haul heavy luggage or equipment for a work presentation.
Oh, it's the worst.
It's awful. So imagine lugging heavy, hollowed-out wooden boxes and custom glass rigs just to perform a 5-minute trick for 20 guys eating donuts in a living room.
It's pure dedication. And, the mechanics of those physical props are fascinating when you actually break them down. Like, take something like a glass suspension or a rice chest.
Okay.
The audience experiences this physics-defying visual, right? A glass seemingly floating in midair, or a marked quarter vanishing and magically reappearing inside a locked box that's buried in a chest of rice.
Right.
But the reality behind the curtain is just pure mechanical engineering. It's all about hidden compartments, false bottoms, invisible threads, and really precise tactile manipulation.
It's mechanical puzzle solving.
Exactly.
But what really stands out in these dispatches is a sudden, sharp shift. They move away from those big wooden boxes toward highly sophisticated mentalism and theatrical innovation.
Yeah, the mentalism era is wild.
Like Charlie Roscombe. He didn't just find a card in a deck. He performed this prediction effect, where he guessed the leading news items that would appear in the Providence Journal.
And the method of delivery for that prediction is what makes it a total masterpiece of conviction.
Because he wrote his predictions down, sealed them in a letter, and then actually mailed that letter to the Ring's secretary a full week in advance.
A week.
A week. And then a committee of 4 members opened it, and his predictions were reportedly over 90% accurate.
That's incredible.
And then you got an October meeting where Jim Ray, also known in the notes as Jim DeSault, did an impersonation of Al Jolson using a special makeup that reacted to black light. So when the regular stage lights flipped on, the makeup seemingly vanished instantly.
So we are really seeing a leap here from tactile engineering to applied psychology and cutting-edge technology.
Yeah, and let me pause here because I really want to push back on the stereotype for a second.
Yeah.
When I think of 1950s magic, I'm just picturing a guy pulling a rabbit out of a top hat.
Right, the classic tuxedo and wand.
Exactly. But mailing a sealed prediction of a newspaper a week in advance? Or using black light reactive makeup? I mean, that sounds incredibly modern and sophisticated. Were these guys just way ahead of their time?
Well, it feels like an entirely different sport, doesn't it?
It really does.
Yeah.
Moving from a mechanical trick with a wooden box to mailing a sealed prediction, it feels like the difference between picking a physical lock and using social engineering.
That's a perfect way to put it. With the box, you are basically hiding a trapdoor. But with the newspaper prediction, you are hacking the audience's baseline assumptions about time, about mail delivery, and about human capability itself.
Mind-blowing.
And that shift from lockpicking to social engineering, it's driven directly by the audience they were facing. We have to remember the context of the miniature theater. They weren't performing for the general public where a basic trapdoor would blow their minds.
Right.
They were performing for an audience of initiated magicians.
The toughest room imaginable.
Oh, absolutely. You cannot fool a room full of IBM members with a cheap trick from a hobby shop because they already know exactly how the props work.
They already own the same hobby shop trick.
Exactly. They know the schematics of the rice chest. They know the visual angles for a glass suspension. So to get a genuine reaction of wonder out of your peers, you have to push the boundaries of the craft itself.
You have to invent new ways to lie to them.
Yeah. Psychological warfare, like mentalism, is just much harder to reverse engineer in real time than a mechanical box. If you adopt cutting-edge technology for the 1950s, like that blacklight reactive makeup, you stay one step ahead of an audience that knows all the standard secrets.
So it wasn't just showing off. Necessity basically forced Ring 44 to be extraordinarily innovative.
Precisely. They were caught in this constant friendly arms race of deception.
An arms race of deception.
Yeah.
That's so good. And I imagine the obsessive mindset required to constantly engineer those new illusions naturally attracts some incredibly eccentric personalities.
Oh, you have no idea. The humanity of Ring 44 just leaps off the pages of the linking ring.
The membership roster is so incredibly diverse in terms of life experience. My absolute favorite is Ed McGuire, who went by Ed Tex McGuire.
Yes, Tex.
The October Dispatch casually mentions that Tex exhibited a collection of reproductions of Florentine playing cards, but the scribe introduces him as, quote, the man who actually broke the bank at Monte Carlo 3 nights in a row.
Which is just a staggering claim to throw in there.
And it adds in parentheses a recorded fact, like they had to make sure the readers knew they weren't making it up.
Dropping a detail like that into mundane club minutes is just brilliant.
The juxtaposition is totally wild. You have a guy who literally bankrupted a European casino utilizing what we can assume is an incredibly sharp mathematical or strategic mind. And he's spending his Tuesday nights in Rhode Island showing his friends some old Italian playing cards.
It's amazing.
The mind of a casino system cracker is, I guess, the exact same mind that obsesses over the mechanics of a false shuffle.
It really highlights how the pursuit of magic bridges entirely different worlds. And, that vibrant eccentricity contrasts really sharply with some of the more solemn, even surreal moments the group shared.
Yeah, the memorial tape at the January meeting is a perfect example of that contrast. After the coffee and donuts, Charlie Roskam ran a tape recording for the group.
Right.
It was a memorial service for someone called the Great Lester, recited by George Boston, complete with organ music playing in the background.
Picture the atmosphere in that living room.
It's crazy. A group of grown men, these masters of deception, just sitting around in total silence, listening to organ music and a eulogy emanating from a reel-to-reel tape machine.
It's very surreal.
It's deeply touching, but also just wonderfully weird. It shows a reverence for the history of their craft that honestly borders on the religious.
It was a true brotherhood. And that becomes even more apparent when you look at how real-world events intruded on their sanctuary.
Like the muddled meeting from September. That's the best example of that real-world intrusion.
Oh, for sure.
Chuck Harrison, the scribe, writes that the evening was rather muddled because the president, Morris K., which is another name for Morris Kantrowitz, was absent to observe a Jewish holiday.
Right.
And on top of that, the vice president and secretary, Arthur J. Andrews, was on the verge of entering, quote, Uncle Sam's service.
Meaning he was facing the military draft or enlistment.
Right. So the leadership of the club is temporarily fractured by religion and the military, these really heavy realities of mid-century American life. Yet Harrison writes that they still stumbled through an enjoyable evening. And he even uses the official magazine Dispatch to wish Arthur a speedy return and lots of luck in his tour of duty.
Which is just so human. If we look at the sociology of this group, we see something really profound about the nature of esoteric knowledge. Outside the doors of that hall on Franklin Street, or outside the baker's home, society imposes a strict hierarchy.
Sure.
These men had different social statuses, different wealth levels, different daily anxieties. One man is literally a high roller from Monte Carlo, and another is a young man staring down a military deployment.
Worlds apart. But the moment they step into Ring 44, that external hierarchy is just completely stripped away.
Exactly. In the world of illusion, the only rank that matters is your mastery of deception. If a broke draftee can execute a flawless coin vanish that fools a wealthy businessman, the draftee commands the room.
That's powerful.
The shared pursuit of wonder levels the playing field. Esoteric knowledge becomes this great equalizer, creating a sanctuary where societal labels are replaced by mutual respect for the craft.
When we pull all of these threads together, Ring 44 really stops being just a dry list of names and card tricks from the 1950s. It becomes this vibrant, breathing time capsule.
It really does.
It's a testament to the human necessity for community. The magic was almost just the excuse to gather, The fellowship was the real trick.
I love that. And, think about the groups you belong to in your own life. In our hyper-connected modern world, it is very, very easy to feel isolated.
Yeah, terribly easy.
So where do you go to find the people who share your obsessive niche passions? Do you have your own version of a miniature theater? Somewhere where you can fail safely and be caught by peers who understand exactly what you are trying to achieve?
That's a great question. It makes you really appreciate the value of those physical in-person spaces. And as we wrap up this deep dive today, there is one final thought that really reframes everything we've just discussed.
Oh, absolutely.
We've been analyzing the official dispatches from the Linking Ring magazine, but a magazine, by its very nature, only publishes the highlight reel.
Right.
It reports the formal meetings, the refined routines, the
Mhm.
predictions that work perfectly.
It captures all the successes, but it completely ignores the messy process.
Exactly. So think about the hundreds of failed tricks that never made it into print. The dropped coins rolling under the baker's sofa. The mechanics that jammed right in front of the committee.
All the embarrassments.
Yeah. And more importantly, think about the brilliant undocumented illusions that were invented on a random Tuesday night in Bill Baker's miniature theater. Ideas that were shared over a plate of cheese, refined by a room full of experts, but were never written down. They were never published, and now they're permanently lost to time.
It's a bit haunting, actually. It reminds us that the vast majority of human innovation happens quietly in private spaces, far away from any official record.
The sheer amount of unrecorded brilliance happening in living rooms is staggering to think about. We started by discussing how secrets are usually considered this heavy burden that isolates us. But for the men of Ring 44, a secret was a bridge.
A bridge, exactly.
It was the price of admission to a community where the impossible was just another item on the evening's agenda. So to everyone listening, keep looking for your own hidden brilliance, and we will catch you on the next deep dive.